So we're hoping the audio is running. Famous last words. Always good to find out whether it's working or not on the way through. So welcome to the Donny Chain Gang for 2021. We are back. We are live. Hopefully the techies all going to join up together after being mothballed for a few days and doing other jobs on the way through. Russ and I have been busy all the way through, as you would expect, and great to have so many of you join us on our specials, on our end the year on a high, which was amazing to see so many people mad enough to want to ride up the Alpe d'Huez Zwift, that faithful replica of the Alpe d'Huez. And of course, all of our women on the women's only Donny Chain Gang that was on the Tuesday, led by Emma and our Red Beacon, Maddie Smith, really keeping everybody together, including all of our pros, and April Tacey, of course. Now, we're going to drop across to tonight's leader. That is going to be Russ Downing. So let's see if Russ is on the end of a phone line. Hello, Russ.
Hello, Matt. I am here. I don't know if I'm loud and clear, but yeah, I'm here.
You are loud and clear to me, but then again, that doesn't always translate as going down the magic of the internet. Hopefully everybody on the live feed is getting you in and going to be able to hear you on the recording. Good to be back. We're back for a new year. Did we ever think when we started off we were going to get to 2021 still doing this?
No, I don't even know how we've made it, to be honest. But yeah, we're now in 2021, and yeah, what a crazy 2020 it has been, and yeah, I think we're going to have another crazy couple of months ahead. But we've got the DCG, so I wouldn't say we're happy, but we can be content with what we're doing here. It's all good.
Yeah, definitely, and great to see so many riders, well over 300 due to be taking the start. I think last time I saw was 320 something, so huge numbers again.
Yeah, I don't know where they are because there's only 134 on my screen now, but yeah, they're out warming up, aren't they, and getting all serious for this, like, so yeah, it should be good. I've just seen Martin Bolt saying his OCD's not happy with the 49 kilometres, but he can round up afterwards, can't he? So he don't need to climb off immediately as the blue banner comes. I don't think I ever do that. I always pick a number and ride on, and yeah, it's should be good fun. You know, this cast pack's a nice circuit. It's not easy, it's not mega hard, but it's got a bit of everything, and we should have some fun on here tonight. Yep,
definitely, and we've got, of course, a nice steady start because we head out along the flat. So hopefully everybody's going to be together. And I presume at some point we are going to have the traditional go from yourself. But you're not going to tell us when, as usual.
No, I never say that. And it's so funny, you know, I have it typed in my phone, then something will happen. I'm like, oh, I'll pause for a little bit. And it's like, no, I can't do it yet. So-and-so's off the back, off the front. Someone's in the bushes having a toilet break. And it's like, and when I press it, a few seconds later, obviously YouTube feeds 8 seconds, 9 seconds delay. You just take the roof off the commentary, and then I get all excited like it's the last lap of a race or something. So, well, it's all good fun.
It is good fun, and hopefully everybody's going to keep together, and it's all going to be great stuff. We're going to let you go back to briefing all the riders. And looking forward to another day in France on Thursday, and we'll catch you then if I don't speak to you at the end of this one.
Yeah, it's looking like we've got quite a few newbies on here tonight. You know, people saying first timers, all this. So yeah, I hope they listen.
Definitely, it's always a bonus. Switch on the message board for sure. Definitely.
Stay around yellow, I'd say, mate.
Yep. Stay around yellow, definitely. Thank you very much, Russ. Let's take everybody out and onto the course. So let's head onto the course. We're going to France, this fantastic world created on Zwift, and we're going to Caspats, and Caspats literally means leg breaker, and that's exactly what this course is. It's a really tough course for riders to keep together if they're not careful. It is a course that it pays to pay attention on, and it's one of my favourite courses to ride, I have to say. The French world is absolutely superb. Loads of detail in there that you're going to see when we're out and riding. The course has a lead in, so we start in the traditional chevroned pens, and we then have 0.9k to go onto the circuit. We have 23 kilometre laps, and we're going to do those twice, and we're going to finish at the Green Marina sprint banner. So that's a big arch that goes over the top, a bit like the roof of the studio here. Big arch over the top, and it's in green. Once we've done that, we're then going to continue down from the finish for a further 2.1k, and that basically means that our riders get a proper warm down. It's not just flat out from the word go to the end to the blue banner, because the blue banner is the warm down stop point, not the very end of the ride. We always aim on the commentary to go for a fixed point, and that's going to be that green banner. Elevation today, not huge, 290 meters, but it does take its toll. So let's show you what that looks like in terms of graphics. So first of all, let's use the wonderful Zwift Insider map. And this shows you the circuit around France. You've got the Mont Saint-Michel, the little island up on the top. At the bottom, you've got the hillier section and the big entry into what is the Van Top and Lorraine. But we don't use that. We use some of the key features, though. So we start down on the shore side, and we do a run in around. It's flat first for about the first 10k or so before you roll into the hilly climb up, and the first key point is a sprint on the way through, which we're going to ignore. We're going to go on to the little bit of the Aqueduct KOM, onto the Petite KOM, and then drop our way back down to the marina twice round, and finishing back in that marina. Now, where those hills comes, that's really is critical. So let's show you where those features come on the course. Generally, the start, as you can see, 10k basically of flat in through the pavé sprint, which we're not going to contest on that one. We're going to go over the Aqueduct KOM. It's a minor climb. It's not even categorized, it's so small, but it can break it up. We're going to drop off, then up the Petite KOM. That's just a category 4 climb before coming back down and in through the Marina sprint reverse. We're going to do that twice. And if we look at that where it is in relation to the course, and we'll use the graphics that come from VeloViewer, of course, the mine of information that gives everybody all of the details. We've just twisted the course slightly so that we can show you the climb on the right hand side out there, and it looks much hillier on this graphic. You can see where those hills come. So we start at a central bottom of there, and we go across towards the little cloverleaf section by the VeloViewer graphic, and then we climb up the hillside and we head along the flats, and we go over the KOM. That's the tiny central climb, and then onto the Petite KOM, and that is going to take us around and back down again. Now, our riders are just on the way out of the pens. Our red beacon, Mike Killingsworth, is going to be shepherding everybody from the back, with Russ in charge in the middle. So let's take a look at those riders. I think they're out on circuit at the moment, so let's take a little bit of a look. And we're just keeping an eye on the riders, just riding in with Russ at the moment. And certainly it looks to me like Russ is doing the business out there. So let's take a little bit of a dive across. It looks like they're out on circuit. Indeed they are. And as you can hear, it is pretty bumpy as we go over the cobbles. You can see the chevron over the top, and our riders at the moment just heading away from the marina and going to be heading up towards the island up on the top. So let's jump in with the riders. Let's head across to the ride. The DONNYCHAINGANG live here on the Downing Cycling YouTube channel. So the new year has started, and good to see lots of our regulars on here. We have the regular in the shape of Darren Billings, so we're just going to go up over the top. Darren in the white jersey, the red, green and a white top there. Now a lot of the Bolsover riders are riding in that. Lots of our regulars back in once again. Remember, the aim of this is to get into the blob. The blob is the group of riders that all congregate around the yellow beacon. And if you're up on the front, guys, you need to be knocking the pace down so that It is the yellow beacon you can see, and then you can roll on through. The coverage will feature from the yellow beacon back to the red, and our red beacon just going to be sitting out on the back. Good to see Carl Kapinski's here. You may well have seen the Don't Poke the Bear t-shirt on the Facebook page. Make sure you get subscribed to that. And Carl Kapinski is the artist that does that. If you YouTube or you Google Carl Kapinski, it will come up with this man. He is one of the most talented people with a pen and ink you've seen, and there's some great artworks showing if you go search the artwork. So make sure you go on there. A regular on the Chain Gang and a really fearsome rider as well. So just taking a quick look down there, looks like a few new names on here, as well as some of our regulars. Just going to drop in with Ian Taylor here, in another of our regulars. Now, Ian was responsible, of course, for the 1080 Oakley August, and Ian is one of our keen supporters on the Chain Gang, as well as being a regular rider. And Ian at the moment, 198, nearly 200 watts. You can see that on the top left-hand side of your screen. That's got the watts, the revs per minute, so the pedal cadence, and the beats per minute, how hard he's working, what that heart rate is. Remember, of course, that your younger riders, they will have a higher top end, they'll have a higher heartbeat at max than an older rider. So if you're an old gimmer like me, basically your top of your heart rate range is going to be around about the 175, 180, maybe 190 if you're lucky. If you're a youngster, you're going to be up at the 240s. The old 240 minus your age doesn't quite work, but it is along those lines. Best thing to do, jump onto Zwift. Make sure you give yourselves an FTP so it's nice and accurate when you're working out your levels when you're riding. And of course, there's dedicated programs on Zwift to do that. And then you'll also, no doubt, find your maximum heart rate on the way through that FTP. Now, the call, and this is where you can see why that FTP test is critical, 2.5 watts per kilo maximum. So we are looking for our riders, if they're 50 kilos, they should be generating 2.5 times 50, which will give you 125 watts, even with my rubbish maths. If you are 100 kilos, you're going to be kicking out something in the region of about 250 watts. And of course, all of our riders are going to be able to work that out. Now, just going up and onto the bridge, let's take a look. We will use the wonderful helicopter to focus on the 100 riders on the screen. Now, one of the reasons we've got 100 riders is because that is what the focus is going to be on. 100 riders is also what is generally generated by Zwift. So if we have 100 riders on screen, they're the nearest 100 riders geographically to you on the circuit. So just seeing some regular names go through. Ethan Grimshaw back again. Seeing Steve James on the Chain Gang. Andy Singleton is here. He's going to be our red beacon on Thursday. He was having a chat with Mr. Singleton earlier on, and he was just running through his plans for being on the Chain Gang and being the beacon. And of course, our fantastic rota means that everybody's getting involved. They're getting in and helping with the Chain Gang, which is absolutely critical. It does take a little bit of the workload off Russ and myself. Now let's have a little bit of a look. Who else is in here? Some more of our regulars. Looks like Martin Bolt is in. Wade's here. Jessup riding again, so let's have a little bit of a look. Jessup, another rider in on to the Chain Gang here, and looks to me like Jessup comfortably riding along here. 133 watts, 87 revs per minute, nice smooth rev per minute, and riding at 141 beats per minute, so pretty smooth here by Claire Jessup. So you can see the yellow beacon ticking along nicely in the middle of this group. We're going to drop back to our red beacon. He's currently sitting at 32 seconds down on our main beacon. And it looks like we've got Brown, Gibbons, Knight, Whitehead, Dickinson, Taylor, all off the back of the very front group. And you can just see the back of the group on top right hand side of your screen. If we zoom out, you'll be able to see the island, which we're on at the moment. The red beacon is there, and you can just see that red pillar extending up above the beacon. He's got a few riders in front between him and the main group that are just distanced off the back, and it is Mike Killingsworth who is in charge at the moment. Mike, of course, a guest on one of our earlier shows, and Mike, more famous for riding as the passenger in a sidecar than he is of riding the bike. And he actually, if you put in Mike Killingsworth, put in Isle of Man and put in his sidecar, you'll see that this man has got nerves of steel out and riding around the Isle of Man on those open road circuits, racing and being the not the pilot, it's called a passenger, but it's the most active passenger. If you had them on your car, in your car, and they were riding like that and jumping about and distributing the weight all over the place, you'd be looking at them and going, "Ooh, that's not good." But on the sidecar, out and racing at speeds at well over 100 miles an hour, around the Isle of Man, round to circuits like Cadwell, that's the sort of person you want who's going to be able to balance it. So great to see Mike in action. Just coming onto the wheels here of Andrew Whitehead. So Andrew, another experienced rider on the DONNYCHAINGANG, and definitely a experienced rider on Zwift. Don't forget, of course, make sure you go onto the challenges on Zwift and log on as soon as you go in. Big tip, make sure, guys, you get on there and get onto the Everesting challenge. You need 50,000 meters of ascent on the challenge to get yourself one of these fantastic Zwift concept bikes. They're the only bikes that you can change the colour of the wheels and the frame, and both of our riders here with the blue bike, and that's Mike Killingsworth and of course Andrew Whitehead, but you can get many other colours as well as customised, and of course one of the fastest bikes around the circuit, but not necessarily the fastest bike, because it does depend on the terrain. Now, next up in front, it is going to be Paul Dickinson. Dickinson here on the basic Zwift bike, and just got standard wheels in here. And the more you ride, the more kit you get. But an experienced rider, because you can see he's got the level 20 jersey on there. So a rider who could pull definitely a faster bike, but a lot of our riders will actually ride bikes that are harder to ride just to make things more interesting. Now, let's just take a little bit of a look, because I'm sure I've seen Kieran Brown. Now, Kieran generally makes life hard by riding a mountain bike. And as we can see, Kieran Brown here, a regular mountain bike racer, riding on the mountain bike. Now, there are some circuits and some of the off-road that the mountain bike is faster on Zwift. The Zwift building into the game different resistances for different wheels, different aerodynamic drag profiles, different weights, and of course different types of bike, and that all suits on different courses, and that is absolutely critical. Know your course, make sure that you go onto the Zwift Insider, make sure you go onto the Facebook pages of the DONNYCHAINGANG. There's always lots of talk of what bikes are doing what, which is the best wheels and bike combination, and we'll generally try and let you know on that page where we're heading fairly early, so you know where you're going to be going. Now let's have a little bit of a look. Tom Knight in on the bike, and this is another Zwift concept bike by the look of it, and this one is done in the pink, known as the Tron bike on Zwift, and Knight here pushing on these riders, just trying to get back in touch with the back of the bunch. Currently about 7 seconds off the back of the main bunch. You can see the bunch just in front. If we use the rider's eye view here, you can see just starting to push on towards it, just going around the side there. I think it's going to be Mr. Allen just gone past, and this is the view looking backwards. Don't forget, of course, on Zwift you can change your viewpoint as we make our way around. Now, our riders, remember, have about 10k of flat before they're going in through the village in the first sprint, and the guys off the back dropping back, coming forward, and that's the best way if you want to put in an effort, if you don't want to disturb the bunch. Now let's take a look up the road. Adi Dench sitting on the back of this bunch, a man who knows when to sit in. Adi, of course, one of the prolific organisers on Zwift of Rise, the Bikes and Beers jersey. It's in evidence here, and don't forget, of course, all the details on the DONNYCHAINGANG Facebook pages. Get in touch with Eddie on there for those rides. Now let's take a little bit of a look around. Mr. Bolt is in here. Looks like Morris sitting in this group as well. Our drone camera just going where it shouldn't. So let's take a quick look around our riders, all just sitting in here nicely. And the key thing in here is not to expend too much energy. Sit in, don't work too hard, sit in with the group and pull along the rest of the riders. The aim is to bring everybody in, pull everybody along, maximize the pace for all of the riders, and the bunch will move quicker. Everybody will get personal bests. Everybody will get best times, and then they're going to be on the way back in. Just quick questions coming up on the message board on the right hand side. Is Altaf still in Gran Canaria, Matt? No, he's not, but I haven't seen him tonight. But with 300 plus riders every ride, it is becoming increasingly difficult to catch up with everybody on the way through. We do try and feature everybody between the yellow beacon and the red up to the go point. Doesn't always work. One man who we always do give a shout out to, Andy Halls here, the man riding along on that Pinarello. Very nice Pinarello there, Andy. Andy just been on the gravel bike at the moment, just been out and just taking a little bit of a check on some of these messages coming through. Andy, of course, a shadow of his former self, all the riding through the summer when lots of us have found our work decimated. Andy has used that to good effect. So whilst I still weigh pretty much to the ground what I weighed at the start of the very first lockdown, Andy, I think, must have lost about 25, if not 35% of his body weight by going out and riding, and definitely lean and mean, that is for sure. So let's have a little look and see how the guys are doing. Rich Orrell is in here. Coleman in this group at the back. Luke Stone back with us. Good to see you, Luke. And Luke, another of the early riders on the chain gang, and in fact was actually on some of the test rides we did as part of the Downing Cycling rides, the club runs that we did a lot of our testing on earlier, just to make sure that all the kit was working and that we could cover it correctly and give you a good experience watching it. Don't forget, of course, all this brought to you by Russ and myself, Matt Payne, bringing you all of the action and putting on the rides, covering the Facebook page. The Facebook page is now well over 1,500 people, 1,500 people, all contributing to the community on the Facebook page, and we've seen a tenfold increase in female members of that Facebook page since we did the women only ride. And the good news is we've got lots more planned. We've got lots of rides that are going to be coming up, and don't forget, of course, keep your eyes on that Facebook page as we bring you all the details. We've got lots of great giveaways coming up through the summer. All we have to do is find the time to stitch it all together. So Joel Davis in this group here, Joel, Ted in here, looks like Green in this, Rashid's in the group as well, Tom Heptons riding along, just seeing Beefy, Mr. Kettering in this group, one of our younger riders. Looks like one of the Kestervans is in with us. That's probably going to be Freya. Let's have a little bit of a look. The last time I saw Freya on a bike was on the back of a tandem with Guy. Guy, of course, a prolific bike tester. So I don't think there's going to be too many Kestervans. So I think this is going to be Freya. So good to see you. It's Fiona. It's the other half, even better. So Fiona Kestervan in on the chain gang. Good to see you on here. Kicking out 190 watts, 85 rests per minute. It's nice and smooth. Going to keep an eye on some more of our riders. A little bit mixed in amongst this group. We've got new and old riders. I think we've got Becker in here. Looks like Thompson riding. Cairns is in here. Craig Herring. The guys from Johnson Wheelers. Joe Jarvis back once again. Just keeping an eye on all of these riders. Good to see young Mr. Beagley is back in with us. Will Bergfeld, speaking of pros, out on the ride earlier with Russ, and we can usually bank on Will Bergfeld getting on board. So good to see Will. So we're both out 220, 250 watts, 240, just nicely modulating the power just to sit in the right bunch. So it looks like Will nicely packed in here, now heading out and through the sunflowers. It wouldn't be French countryside without heading around through the sunflowers. We're about to head in towards the village. Let's take a little bit of a look up on the map. Don't forget, of course, you can click on the right hand side of the map on Zwift, and that will give you 3 views: the scrolled in, scrolled out vertical view from directly above, the straight map view basically, and then a 3D view, which we're going to drop to now as we go in towards the village. Don't forget, of course, you can click on your companion app on the watts, and what it will do is it will actually flick across and give you watts per kilo, which is critical on a ride like this. So just sitting in with Will Bergfeld at the moment, our camera just going up in the air, just keeping an eye on everybody as we go in through the Pavé Sprint. And one of the features of Zwift, of course, is that we get timed markers on the way through, and that's one of the reasons that we always use a fixed point. It's why it's key to have a little bit of a look on the Velo Viewer. Don't forget, if you want more details on Velo Viewer, get yourselves straight on in to the screens and make sure you get a pro membership. It only costs £10 for the Velo Viewer Pro, but it gives you so much detail. It really is important to keep an eye on. Good to see Manon Lloyd in here for the GCN squad. Let's take a quick look. So Manon Lloyd riding for the GCN team in on the chain gang here. 181 watts, 186 from Manon, and good to see the GCN rider now sat in with a bunch out and riding on the chain gang. And don't forget, of course, we've got lots of professional riders on the way in, so good to see Manon on the way through, and of course a rider with some fantastic palmares as well. So let's take a little bit of a look back through the group behind. We're going to have a look. It looks like Barry Kipling is back in. Barry again with us from very early on in the chain gang. So here we go. Barry Kipling, a legend in the northeast, as well as a regular rider and around the roads and on the cross courses and the mountain bike courses all the way around the National Series scene. And good to see Barry back in on the chain gang once again. Just going to try and drop back a little bit. Russ about 6 meters behind us. Don't forget, of course, all of these riders going to be showing up on your screen on the way through. Looks like at least one of the Akers is in here. I think it's going to be Andy Akers, or it could be one of any one of them. Ollie, Andy, as well as all the gang and riding regularly on the Donny chain gang. So looks like we're going to just take a little bit of a drop back as our riders go up that first climb. And they're just going to be making the way up onto the Aqueduct KOM. It was signalled by a start on the section on the bottom. It is now going to be a run across towards the arch, which is on the flat section of the bridge. It drops down. You can see the top right hand side of the map, the percentage dropping down as our riders start to head in towards that archway. Just in the background you can see the hill that is the Von Top, based on the Von 2. Don't forget, of course, we've regularly used a Lorraine, the partway up the hillside climb, and that's a regular for us. Now, whilst our riders on the front regroup as they come over the top, we're going to drop back to our beacon. Now let's see what's happening on the back. And as you can see, riders dropping in and around Mike Killingsworth. So let's have a look. It is Mike on the front here. Got a nice train of riders behind Mike here. So sort of like David Hopkinson, one of our regulars, in wheel number 2. And then it's going to be Paul Dickinson and Stefano Borelli sitting in man 4 if this was a team pursuit. Let's take a quick check on Stefano. So Stefano in that black and fluorescent kit, and good to see Stefano back out and riding, and one of the main men over at Nonna's in Sheffield, and a man who is trying to get everything together, of course, whilst at the same time running the hospitality business in what are very challenging times. And good to see Stefano back on the chain gang again. and I'm sure we're going to see him plenty of times more as we move on. Now, Mike Killingsworth having a good chat with the guys behind. So we've got Stefano Borelli. Then just in front of him and just going up onto the climb is Paul Dickinson. So Dickinson on his way up. We've got Borelli on the wheel there, just in front. Let's take a zoom out with our drone cam here on the Zwift. Just at the front is Killingsworth. He's got Hopkinson on the wheel and just distancing Dickinson and Borelli a little bit. So no doubt going to have their own regroup as they come up and over the top. Now let's take a little bit of a look. There's a few people setting their own PBs as they come in through the climb here. So looks like Killingsworth keeping on pushing. So here we go. The riders are pushing on into the gantry. Just focusing on Dickinson as they go in and through the line. So Hopkinson goes through. Then Killingsworth in underneath the gantry. Now then it's going to be Dickinson followed by Borelli. Now this is going to be the riders in the red there working the way up. In front of them is going to be Gibbons, currently sitting about 17 seconds in front, and Gibbons currently working out of the saddle there just on the zigzags. In front then is going to be Taylor of Bolsover and District, and it is Taylor then, and Taylor has about a minute to the back of the main bunch. Then it's going to be Kieran Brown, the man on the mountain bike, who was right up there when we were on the main climbs. Group of 4 riders then is Martin Bolt, who is in this group. He was a Red Beacon for many weeks, but now just working his way around with some companies. He's got Tam in that group by the look of it. It looks like the Cannonball. That's Andy Smith in there. Rob Carling as well, all in with Martin Bolt. So it is a Bolt, Cannonball, Rob Carling and Tam from the Haute Route, who are in the group of 4 on the way through. Then in front of them we've got Mr. Cootie and Gidley. So let's have a little bit of a check on our riders here. Cootie and Gidley. So Cootie from Chef Rex EC on the way through. And then we have in front of them 12 seconds up the road is Taylor from the Bike Doctor. So just take a look. Taylor here pushing good watts here, 115, 140, 150. The camera having its magic effect of people pushing it on, so it looks like 150 watts, just yo-yoing up and down a little bit, but an experienced Swift rider, nice bit of kit there, and 83 revs per minute, just ticking along as you go in around this horseshoe. In front, 10 seconds up the road is going to be Knight and Llewellyn. So just in with Knight at the moment. So Knight looking good at the moment. Llewellyn in with Knight and sitting in. You're going to be working slightly harder because on a bike which is a little bit slower than the bit of kit. So Llewellyn Knight ticking on at about 3.5 watts per kilo, but of course once you dropped out of that group it gets very difficult to get back in. The aero advantage of having 300 riders around you, it makes a huge difference. Don't let a wheel go. Be attentive no matter what. Right, here we go. Next up we've got Gary Licence, we've got Mr. Grant and Stuart, the group of 3 riders together here, working well. Another group on the back. Don't forget, of course, that's the aim of the chain gang. Once you do get drops, make sure you are in a group. It makes a huge difference. Now, our riders turn left here towards the petite KOM, just going past those Zwift gazebos, just giving a little bit of shelter in the sunshine here in France. Up in front, looks like this is going to be the back of the main group, because it just looks like Jackson, the fat cyclist, is in here. That's Gareth Mason. It looks like Russ is in this group as well. So this is the main group at the moment. So here we go. This the bunch with Russ in it at the moment, just ticking the way along. And remember, guys, the go will not happen until Russ gives that signal and everybody's back together. Now let's have a little bit of a look. Rich Crawley here, Craig Herring in around our yellow beacon. Good to see. Looks like Osman in here. Nick Dorsey, of course, in the group. We know Nick knows exactly what he's doing when it comes to riding in a bunch. So good to see Nick in here. Looks like Joe Jarvis in here. Another of our riders who started off doing 1 or 2 and then has quickly become a regular on the chain gang. So really, really good riding by Joe. And Joe hanging around that yellow beacon. That's exactly what we want. That's where you get the fastest pace. It's where you get the most kudos. And of course, that's what the Donny Chain Gang is about, working together as a group to bring all of our riders in. Now, our riders just starting on to the climb. This is the petite KOM. It is the section that takes us up to the top of the hill, and then we will be rolling back down again for a regroup before we go back through the marina sprint. And at the moment it looks really good. So guys, you need to be taking it easy on this climb. If you've got the message board switched off, you might not be seeing the ones on the right hand side, but you will be seeing the messages from Russ on the screen. So let's have a little bit of a look. The graded increase in 6% going into the red now. So upper 6s now into 7%. 3 watts per kilo max, please, guys, on the front. If you are up there, you need to be keeping the pace down, holding it together a little bit longer. So let's have a little bit of look. Rob Wimble in here. Looks like Ruth Taylor having to push out some serious watts per kilo. Ruth, of course, are one of our female riders, and our lighter riders have to really push on. And there are a real group of good 3 riders here. So it looks like Fiona Kestevan, Joe Jarvis, and Ruth Taylor all together just around that yellow beacon at the moment, just trying to hold closer to Russ at the minute. And Russ sitting reasonably comfortable. It looks like Alan Paulson is back in with us again. Good to have Alan back. Another rider out of the Killermarsh area. And looks like Alan has been spending a lot of time on Zwift because he's got his Zwift concept bike there. So looking good now. A few signals coming in from the guys to keep the pace steady up on the front. Just taking a little bit of a run through, you just see some of our fast riders in here. Looks like Gareth Mason is in this group, just holding around Russ. We're going to just drop it in with Crosscast Neil. So Neil, my fellow host on the Crosscast, he does look kind of like this in real life. Usually he's a little bit muddier, and Neil, one of the regulars now on the Crosscast. Good to see Neil back in with us once again. And Neil, of course, hosting the Crosscast with myself, Matt Payne, and new show due to come out any minute, covering the shows that covering the races in the show that have just happened on the cross scene, and of course looking forward to some of the shows and races coming up as these riders keep ticking onwards. Now we're going to take a little bit of drop back through this group because we're going to try and get back down to Russ and see who is already glued to that yellow beacon. So let's have a look. Andy Bishop down here. Andy, a regular on the chain gang, a well-known road rider around the South Yorkshire and Derbyshire, North Derbyshire areas. And Andy sitting smoothly in this group, making sure he's not expending too much energy. Use that energy early, you're going to pay for it later on. So it looks like Mr. Goddard is just rolling around in this group as well. Ray Vandergay in here. Looks like Ted in this group. Good to see he is sat comfortably in here. Ted, a rider who we know is more than comfortable with this pace, and will be there when the pace pushes onwards soon. So just working our way through this group of riders, just in with Late at the moment. And Late just ticking along, nice deep rims on that aero frame, and that's going to help as we come down the other side. As you can see, this climb does take its time as you're coming up and around these hairpins unfolding underneath the riders. And these are our nearest riders to Russ, our yellow beacon. So this is where the name and shame quickly comes into effect. So looks like Jason Gretton is going to be the first of the riders named Shane, clearly hammering his way up there because he's come through. Nobody else actually having come through that group at the moment. We're just on the petite KOM, and Gretton a long way clear. Clearly can't do the maths. Name and shame time. We love a bit of naming and shaming on the Donny Chain Gang. You can't play the game? We'll take the mickey. Still trying to work out just how far in front a rider can be to go through. Set a 5:41. Oh, here we go. And look, magically, that's a big gap. Wow. Now, front of the group, and this isn't by any means the main group in here. So, riders that are in the main group. First rider in amongst that main group. Looks like that is going to be O'Neill with a no time gap to the riders in front. Let's have a little look at the women because we're going to have a look at their times. Looks like Thompson Story, and then it's going to be Becca, Katie Clough, going through sevens all the way through to 7:37s. So the big bunch on the way through. Mann and Lloyd doing a 7:43 on the way up there. So Kieran Smith, and that is the way to do it, starting at the back of the group, riding a mountain bike, coming through in 15th place, working his way up from the very back of the group to the front. So the call goes out for a regroup to get everybody back together again. And I think we're going to see Russ making sure everybody is all nailed together. You can just see we're just working our way as these riders make their way up towards the beacon and up towards the yellow beacon, which is just dropping over the side. So a regroup called. Looks like a beard on the bike, in with this group at the back here. Pillsworth in here, Taylor's in here, Carl Kopinski, and just taking a little bit of a check. So one of the things we do have to warn you of is possible that our riders who are going off the very front aren't able to see anybody else. So if you get a dropout, if your Wi-Fi isn't connecting correctly, it is possible to be stranded in no man's land, unable to see anybody around you, think you're doing the right pace, and actually you've ridden off the front. So we will guard our comments slightly with the fact that riders could well be going off the front in ignorance, and generally we get to know because it's the same riders week on week who make the thing rip apart. But we are just going to keep an eye on these riders on the way up the climb here. Just going to drop in with some of the riders that may be a little bit further back because we've got a few of our regulars. Looks like Victoria Chavaria. Hi Vic, how you doing? Vic Chavaria from Costa Rica, riding on some very snazzy disc wheels, which he's clearly got from riding plenty of miles on Swift, because you go and you get this at the upper levels. Riding away up the climb, got Darren Topless not too far behind, and a load of the gang chasing behind. It looks like Evans McGuigan just in front. So these riders on the way through. Darren Topless just behind. You can see Darren here from Pine Cycles just in front of a Whitehead, and looks like Stuart with a drop out here. And just going to drop a little bit of the road. So Whitehead topless at the moment, chasing onto the group. Evans is on the climb as well. McGuigan is here. Now, is this the Conor McGuigan, the chair of the Bolsover District Cycling Club? There's got that many Conors. It's always difficult to tell which one's which, but I think this is the right one. You'll have to forgive me if it's not. Roy Carling chasing Mike Killingsworth, our beacon, who is controlling things at the back, keeping an eye on everybody on the way through. In front of him is Dickinson, Hopkinson and Borelli. And then it's going to be Martin Bolt just chasing Gibbons. Gibbons now on that descent down the far side, and you can see the speed he's going to pick up for him. Town from the Hope Route, 10 seconds in front. And then it's going to be Taylor, followed by the Cannonball. Then is going to be Kieran Brown on the mountain bike, Lone Rider, Crichton, Wilson, Billings, Hayward just up the road. Got Phil Jones. This is Road Phil. Good to see Phil on here. So just take a quick check on Phil, see how he's riding. So Phil looking good on the bike, pedaling nice and smoothly, and don't forget, of course, Phil, one of the regular contributors to the road scene, and a real unsung hero of the sport out on riding. He's got Colin Bell, that's Beefy from Cycleways in this group. Looks like Llewellyn in here. O'Neill is in this group as well, just sitting on the back with Hayward. So Hayward in here in the group, and I think this is going to be a pretty quick group as they come in and through the lap line. That's going to be down on the straight very shortly. Another big group just off the back of the main bunch. So it looks like we've got a substantial number of groups just being distanced by the main group. This is going to be Ethan Grimshaw. As the yellow goes under the beacon, you can see there are 3 or 4 substantial groups trying to chase on. Let's spin round from this group. There is another group on the road behind chasing hard, trying to get back in touch. Looks like a beard on the bike is in with this group. We'll follow Ethan Grimshaw through because they're going to be on the way into the line, and it is a tricky finish this as we come in next time round, because they are going to head round the corner. That corner comes up really, really quickly before you come underneath the reverse Marina Sprint, which is this section, and then we then head back out onto our next lap, and lots of people setting PBs in with this group. Great to see. So that is a why on the chain gang. We always say regroup, form a group behind if you get dropped by the main beacon group. If you're off the front of the main beacon group, get a group, guys. Get behind the yellow beacon, read the instructions on the ride. There's a reason it's not put on the standard rides. It's so that you read it and play the game, and everybody benefits. Even I clearly need more coffee before we go much further, so we're just going to take a little bit of a look as they come through. Now let's take a little bit of a look up the road. Looks like Russ Dolby along with Crawley again, just hanging around the back of that main bunch. AD Dench 9 seconds back, so we've got the main bunch 9 seconds back. Then is the bunch with AD Dench in. Looks like Mike Killingsworth, our red beacon, 7 minutes 16 down. And remember, of course, Mike Killingsworth, not the last rider on the road by any stretch of the imagination. This is the nearest group to the back of the main yellow beacon bunch. I think we're just taking a little bit of a look. Yep, so Ted here, Langmead, Hills, Pillsworth, Gleedle, Rutter just trying to chase on. Forrester in this group as well. And they're trying to bring themselves back up to the lead group. Looks like Kev Dawson calling the shots up there with Russ, trying to bring them back under control once again. The phrase herding cats comes to mind because it is very, very difficult to keep everybody on track, heading in the right direction. So we head out and around here on the Caspats route. Caspats, of course, the leg breaker route here, and it's done in both directions, as is RGV. You can go forward or backwards around it, basically 2 different names, but it does mean that you can change the feel of the ride, the feel of the course, and certainly one of my favourites that we do on the chain gang, because we have this 10k flat start off before we run into the hills. Now let's take a little bit of a look up from this group. Looks like Bradley Atkinson sitting on the back of the main bunch here, so good to see Bradley back in with the group. Bradley here in the blue jersey, and of course all these jerseys are collectible on Swiss. Some of them come with more riding, some of them come with an increase in racing, in collecting them on the way through. Now I'm just going to keep an eye on these guys. Looks like Claire Jessup just in front, looks like Lee just behind here. Gail Phillips, the spreadsheet supremo, sitting in the group here, and got to say a massive thank you to Gail. She is in charge of making sure the red beacons are all reporting for duty and that everybody's on there, and it's great to see Gail back on the bike and riding so smoothly here, having a great ride here, sitting in with the main bunch. And of course, don't forget Gail, one of our regulars from the word go. She knows the score. Sit around the yellow beacon until the word go. Looks like Ruth Taylor in the group just in front, so Ruth in here. So Ruth Taylor in with this group, and let's take a little bit of a check how these guys did as we went up over the KOM. And we're going to take a little bit of a check out of those times. As Ruth Taylor with a 7:23, Gail Phillips with a 7:24, Claire Jessup with a 7:24.7 to Gail Phillips' 7:24.4. All these riders very, very similar. Joe Jarvis a 7:25 as well. Great to see so many of the riders really riding in what is a consistent pace. And we're just going to try and work our way in and across to them once again. So just keeping a check of this. Now we have an M Philby. Is that Max Philby in with the group? It wouldn't surprise me. Great to see so many women out and riding. 23 women on the Donny Chain Gang this time round, and that is just under 10% of the riders out on the course. And I've got to say a massive thank you to everybody involved in bringing the very first women only Donny Chain Gang over the Christmas period, and that was on the Tuesday between Christmas and New Year, and that was a real success, and that's due to the efforts of everybody on the Chain Gang. Remember, although Russ and I may be the ones that are stitching it together and doing the work on the way through, please remember, guys, it is a community, and it's all about making sure that everybody enjoys the ride out on the Chain Gang. So it looks like we're going to get a real women's group of three riders, very similar in terms of performances, and I think Becky Story just pushing the way on here. So Becky Story trying to keep these pushing onwards. Now let's have a little look. AD Dench working hard in this group. We've got an ouch from AD as the pressure is on at the back of this group. Rob Wimble having to do 4 watts per kilo. The pace has clearly picked up in that group. Ian Brooks in here. Look at Brooks having to do 4.5 watts per kilo just to stay at the back of the group. Now we have McLeod in here. Is this the one and only Ewan McLeod? It certainly is. Downing Cycling coach, Strider Ewan McLeod in the group, and great to see he is once again in action on the Chain Gang. In fact, one of the riders who we focused on when we were out and riding in the Downing Cycling club runs, the forerunner and some of the test beds for the tech to make sure it's all working. So good to see Ewan in here. You can just see the noise picking up as we go over the cobbles on the bridge. So let's keep a check on all these riders. Try and focus on as many riders as we can on the way through here. So O'Brien in with this group, and O'Brien riding, keeping in those wheels, not letting those gaps go at the moment. And Lauren O'Brien, one of the newer riders. If it is the Lauren O'Brien that I know from the riding in the Yorkshire scene, certainly a very strong rider, just up with Pete Harris. And the group around Russ, there is about 100 riders at the back behind Russ in the group, and there's about 100 and some in front. There are 1 or 2 Muppets off the front, but we always know that there's going to be a Muppet show at the very front, which is why we don't show it. If they need it for their ego, well, we'll give them a massage. Let them think they're good till they get whooped at the end. So let's take a little bit of a look. Ian Brooks in here. Mr. Holmes is in here. Let's have a little check on Mr. Killingsworth. He's a little bit further back. So, Mike Killingsworth, not a lost rider. I think that's going to be Whitehead and Topless. They're at the back. They're about 1 minute or so behind Mike Killingsworth. And Mike currently 8 minutes down on the Yellow Beacon group. But he's got lots of company back here. Good to see so many riders joining the gang and riding in this group. They've got to get themselves all together. Mr. Dickinson and Hopkinson look like they are together once again. Gibbons has company with Stefano Borelli. Here we go. Just have a little bit of a check. Cootie at the moment just on his own here. He's going to close down on Taylor. Taylor has the Cannonball. That is going to be Andy Smith, and it's going to be Kieran on his own on the mountain bike. Lone Rider closing down on Crichton and Darren Billings in here. Then it's going to be Wilson with Rumble together. And not in the jungle today, so Mr. Rumble going to have to push on over the bridge. Then it's going to be Beefy Colin from Cycleways. Now he needs to get back in this group with O'Neill, Hayward, Jones, Llewellyn in here. 1 minute 19 up at the road is Gail Phillips. It looks like Gail's had to jump off the group. Then we've got Nixon, we've got Taylor in here. and Taylor, one of our younger riders. A reminder to everybody, of course, that this is a family show, and we have lots of our youngsters in this group as well. So at the moment, just riding in with Nixon. So Heather Nixon, another new name on the commentary, but a rider who we got joining us. So good to have you with us, and a nice group in here to sit with, work with, and continue to push onwards with. A really nice group. I think we got late in this group as well. So two of the women in with some of the regulars. Sean Ferran, I think, at the moment. That's Sean in the green, leading this group along at the moment. Immediately behind is Sir Rodney, then Taylor Nixon late. Norris, Beard on a bike in this group as well. Everybody working well here. Great to see them in action. And then it's going to be our next group up the road. It's the Star Trek. It's going to be Bradley Atkinson in this group. I think Ambler is in here as well. Looks like Otto Russell in here. Then it's going to be a lone rider of the group, and I think that's going to be Thompson. Let's have a quick check. It is indeed Thompson, so the odds are that that group are going to pick Thompson up on the way through. The power of a group of riders, always faster on Zwift, and Thompson pushing on here and going to collect at least one more rider before going past Luke Stone there. So Luke just being distanced, just our camera just having a bit of gyroscopic issues. So we head around and along. Now let's take a little bit of a look up the road. 22 seconds. Next big group in with Gleadle here. Looks like Lee, Claire Jessup's in here. Forrester's in here. Looks like Langmead in this group. Ted's in here as well. Looks like Hill's in this group, or Woodall as well. One or two riders starting to drift back. Looks like Morris just up the road with Joe Jarvis and Jackson. So we're going to see them coming back. Then it's going to be Megan Lloyd. This is not Manon, this is Megan Lloyd, if I got my M. Lloyds correct. It might not even be Megan, it's going to be Morgan. That many Lloyds from Wales, oddly enough. So good to see Morgan on the chain gang. Morgan, you're going to see some company coming behind if you're not careful. Just in front, looks like these riders just starting to get collected from behind. Nichols in a group here with Gale. Looks like Mick is here, and we're going to have to take a very fast jump up to the front because Becky Story is distanced a little bit as the go is instigated by Russ. He's waited as long as he dared, tried to get as many people back together, and the guys are going to be hammering. We're trying to get up to Russ. Let's see if anybody's got the power to jump in with the very front of the group. It is absolutely motoring away up on the front. We're just in with Watson at the moment, who's trying to work his way up through this group, and they're going to be pulling themselves clear. We're working our way up to Mr. Downing to see what's going on up at the front. Here we go, in with Russ at the minute. So here we go, Russ Downing in here in the grey Zwift jersey, the Pinarello underneath. And Russ instigated that go. He's got Gilmore with him. He's got McLeod in this group. It looks like Mason is in here. This is our leading group. We're going to take a little bit of a look back to see if we run off the end of the 100 riders. We do, so well over 100 riders in contention. Some big names in here. Kieran Smith is a man to watch out for. My goodness, he's a rider who has taken multiple victories on the chain gang. Looks like Easter is in here as well. Can't discount him. Russ, of course, the Bear Downing in this main group. We're going to take a little bit of a look up, try and jump in with the drone cam just up in the sky at the moment, and let's try and dodge all the trees on the way through. So here we go. We're going to be having a little bit of a rip up, I think, very shortly indeed, because this is a big bunch and nobody's going to want to bring all these guys in. Looks like Crosscast Neil is still in this group. Manx Rider Hannay in here. Looks like Bundy in as well. Let's drop in with the Fat Cyclist with Gareth Mason, a man who always gets ribbed for never being on the front of the group until we go across the line, which is not true, but he is good mileage, it has to be said. So Gareth Mason, the Fat Cyclist in here, and plenty of what's under his command. This group is pushing on here. Looks like Andy Thornley in the group. Ryan Williams is in here as well. Ryan, of course, a regular winner. Ben from Velo Viewer in the group. Looks like at least one of the Hope Factory Racing riders is in the group as well, and the odds are that it's going to be Steve James. I've seen Lawrence Coyle in here, Craig Herring is in here, Will Bergfeld's in here, Dan Coleman on the group. Looks like Herring's given it. Colclough has made this group as well. So I suspect it is going to be a real who's who in here, but it is Colclough sat in with the group at the moment. I think he's going to be one of the few women in this leading group. It's going to be a very quick run through here. Let's keep an eye on the riders through the sprint line here, the Pavé sprint. Colclough takes the fastest time in that group at a 25:21. I suspect Becker is in here as well, given the 25:37 time. Potentially Stewart as well as Lloyd, who are sat in with this main group as these riders come in and through, and that's quite simply because the pack is going through together. You're going to get that same pace. Now Craig Herring is the men's leader after the sprint there, the fastest rider through that sprint with a 22.5, so 22.5 on the way through. So 22.5 for Herring. Dobson a 22.67. The only two riders get inside the 23-second mark. We're just going to take a little bit of a check down here. There's certainly the riders who have got the biggest distance. Colclough, the women's leader, 25:21. Then Becker from Rhino, 25.37, and then it is going to be our Crimson rider with a 25.47. Lloyd from GCN, 25.75. Wade, 28-second dead. Kesteven and then Story Jarvis. Looks like Phoebe Snedden in that group, but it is Colclough. Remember, you can always pick the riders out because they are the riders that have the green jersey beside them on the listing on the right-hand side. So let's jump in with this group once again. Looks like Russ continuing to push onwards at the front, and it is Russ, the Bear Downing, who is leading them out at the front. Just taking a little bit of a look back from Russ, but the riders now pushing on round the outside. So our leader at the moment is Jimmy Allen. Allen, the leader on the road at the moment, doing a great job here of putting the pressure on. We're on the Aqueduct KOM. Let's take a drop across because this is a 5%. You may see one or two riders show up on your screen in front. We'll ignore those who went off the front of the group. So our leader, who stayed in the pack, is Jimmy Allen, who is now up onto the top. He's being chased behind. He is going to take this, I think. Remember, the time to beat on the Aqueduct KOM as they came over last time was TM, I think, in the men's 41.80. Let's see what time that is, because I think Will Bergfeld has just taken it away. Let's keep a little bit of a look at that, because I suspect it is going to be one of the riders behind who's managed to push up. The Canyon Development rider there has just pushed on and through, and that could well be that it's going to be Braybrook who has taken a bit of a steal on the rest here. So Braybrook, then Gilmore, the youngster, sitting in second wheel, then Hutchinson in third wheel, Lawrence Coyle in fourth, then Will Bergfeld currently rolling in here. Should Ridley rider in the group as well. Russ sitting in the pack. It is a group of select riders now up on the front, and you can see everybody wants to be in with that group. Everybody pushing on. This is the front of the DONNYCHAINGANG at the moment. So great riding, and this group has been thinned out. That work by Jimmy Allen has split this group in two. Let's take a little bit of a look back. You can see we've got about 50 riders in this group at the moment. Russ sitting in with the pack. Russ Dolby's in here, Matt Gilmore in here. Looks like Richardson here. Colclough making the grade. Yeah, again, Topping is in here. Topping's a rider who should be taking one of these victories one of these days. It can't be long before that's going to happen. Russ continuing to push up in amongst this group. Kenning's in here. Hill continues to push though from the JRC Shoot Repeat squad there, right on the front. So Russ can see the riders pushing on. And just a message from Russ about the banners. We're just going to get that confirmed because we do have it down as finishing at the Marina Sprint banner. And the Marina Sprint banner is a green banner. So we're just going to double check what Russ has in store. Whether he's just going colour blind on his way around the circuit. Now this group continuing to push onwards. And Russ nicely in the pack. So we're going to finish out the Marina Sprint for sure as we head back down and in. It's about 2.5k from the end. The riders have been through it once already, so hopefully they all know where they're going. Russ and I just having a colourblind argument. Don't worry, Gareth. Gareth just double checking whether it's green or orange. Do you know what? We've been through it that many times. I've raced for it so many times. It's definitely a green position banner, because that's the Marina Sprint, but it may well be an orange banner. I will bow to Russ's superior knowledge here, because Russ has actually been riding on it marginally longer. We have all been through it. It's definitely the Marina Sprint. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about Russ. Just go for the Marina Sprint and take the win. If you want to be the man, that's what you got to do. Now, who is going to be the winner here? Will it be Barber? Sitting in this group, not seeing Barber too much in action. Dowtree in here, Russ Dolby in here. Looks like Conley holding the wheels. Ollie Dawson is in here. Kev Dawson. Well, we know Kev can do the business. Kev riding in the black kit. Always a man to watch out for. And definitely a DONNYCHAINGANG experienced rider. And good to see him in action. Now on to the KOM. Who's going to go for this? I suspect we are going to see a bit of a kick here off the front. It's going to be Jimmy Allen, who has gone for this. So Jimmy Allen pushing on up at the climb at the moment. And at the moment, it's certainly looking to me like Jimmy is leading this with a little bit of a kick, but they're all coming round him now. Ryan Williams is a man to watch out for here. We're on to the climb, and Ryan Williams in that Tour de Pierre. Ryan, the winner as we came up over the top of climb after climb in 2020. Will he be the man who can take this out now? Braybrook pushing onwards here in the blue, trying to move up. So remember, guys, you've got to be sprinting for the Marina banner. That is the key point on the course. The Marina banner is the one that we go for. We always do go for a fixed point on course, and that's quite simply because it gives us a fixed banner that is the same for everybody. Now Gilmore 7.2, you see one of our younger riders, for only 15 years old, is Gilmore, so able to push out really good at watts per kilo because he's really light. He doesn't weigh anything. In fact, probably when I'm on my bike, I probably weigh 3 times Mr. Gilmore on his, so big difference. Now let's see who can pull the gap sort of back down here. Hanny from the Canyon Development Team comes around the outside here, puts in a dig here. So is it going to be Hanny who's going to do this? Look at this. This is where there's going to be some decisive action. They know this is the final climb before they drop down, and it's really hard to get on. You've got to absolutely blow yourself apart if a gap opens on the climb. But look at this big move here. Hannay up on the front in the orange jersey, the thumbs up coming down and getting a ride on here. Hannay is 7.2 watts per kilo, being chased by Williams behind at 6.7. Matt Gilmore 2 seconds down. Bergfeld 2 seconds. Alice Braybrook 2 seconds. Coleman at 4, and Coleman is a rider who we know can take the victory as he comes up and through, a consummate rider on Swift. But at the moment, this really is a very big ride here by Hannay with the Manx that he's put over rider after rider over the course of the Chain Gang in 2020. But this young rider at the moment, Hannay, is the one who is stretching it out now, and Hannay was zigzagging the way up and along these climbs, still being chased, but that gap has gone out. It's at 7 seconds now to Braybrook, 8 to Moore and Bergveld leading the chase behind, but everybody now really is being put on the rack by our leaders. So Tyler Hannay, your leader from the Canyon Development team, on the front at the moment. 7 seconds back to Bergveld. Will it be enough? He's zigzagging his way up these climbs. It is certainly looking good at the moment. Will it be enough? Oh, it's not going to be long before we find out. So Hannay now working hard, keeping the pressure on, trying to stretch this lead. He's at 9 seconds on Gilmore. This is with Gilmore we're with now. They can't even see the rider. He's gone around that right-hand turn. And Gilmore in this group of 3 riders. So you can see Braybrook putting on the pressure again. Bergveld, Gilmore, Dowtry, Ewan McLeod in here, Stables, Coyle, Downing, Williams, all in this group. Hill just distanced by a second here, and it looks to me like a kick here from McLeod to try and pull himself back up to the chasers here. So this is Ewan McLeod, the Downing Cycling coach rider, onto the wheels of Will Bergveld. Bergveld, of course, a national champion in a number of disciplines. Looks like he has got company as they go around another cobbled turn coming up here. This is the leading group. They are chasing Hannay, and Hannay is now at 12 seconds. They have to put the pressure on now. Hannay has only got a right turn, a left turn, and he's going to be up at the banner. So Hannay is who's going to lead them up over the top. Tyler Hannay riding for the Canyon Development team. This is the rider who can see that banner coming. He's got one more turn, this left-hand hairpin turn here in Zwift. You can see the gap back. The bunch are behind him. You can see them trying to chase him. That yellow beacon in with the group, and underneath he goes. So Tyler Hannay leading this out. He coming up to the top, the T-junction. You can see on the top right-hand side of your screen is where we turn right and we're beginning the drop down. What's the gap going to be? They're all chasing. Topping is the nearest rider behind. They are in a big group. We're just going to double check that because I suspect that is just a jump on the screen because there are a number of riders in front. Here we are in with Braybrook. So these are the nearest chasers to Hannay, and at the moment they are being led out, and I think it is going to be Genther, then Stables on the way down here. Kev Dawson chasing up the chase. It looks like everybody wants to be in on this quick pursuit here. Ben from Velo Viewer a little bit further back. We're going to try and get back across to Hannay. You can see just how blown apart this group is as they've come up and over the top. And it means we're going to just try and jump in with the guys right on the very front of the group. We'll jump in with Russ. So here we go, in with Russ. Up the road is Hannay. Hannay is continuing to push on here. He's up at nearly 8 watts per kilo. He got that jersey, the climb, and Hannay at the moment now in the freewheel mode. He's on a 7% descent at 61 kilometers per hour. Now they're currently at 23 seconds. He keeps on tucking down, but he kicks on with 12 watts per kilo here. What is the chasing group? It's Russell leading the chase here. So Fonzie Downing is kicking on here. He's absolutely stuffed according to Russ. Don't believe the bear. Please don't attack them all in. Do not believe it for a second. When the bear gets arrested, he's going to attack. The claws will be out. Oh, you're going to drag him down there. You've got to go after Hannay, guys. He's up the road, 19 seconds. You can see time is going to run out for the chasers behind. 20 seconds now. If we take a little bit of a look back, you're going to see the beacon in the distance. So Russ is chasing with Coyle. Bergveld. It looks like Braybrook is in there. Stables in this group. Gilmore just struggling on the downhill, and this is where it doesn't pay to be a lighter rider. This is the gap behind. They've got to get it closed down. Stables is leading the chase. This is our chasing group here, and all of these riders need to work together. It's a big ass to get this back. They've got to kick on here. Looks like Ewan McLeod yet again showing his technological ineptitude by going for the wrong finish line up at the top of the hill. So let's see Is it going to be Hannay? So let's see who's going to put the pressure on here. It looks like Braybrook is going to put the kick in here. And Alex Braybrook has gone for it. He's going to try and close down Hannay, but that's a big ask. Hannay's on his way in towards that finish. Hannay now can see the bridge. We've got a right-hand junction coming up. We've got the bridge coming up. And then he's going to be into the Meridian Sprint. They are trying to close him down here. They're at 12 seconds, but time is run out. The kilometres are ticking away. Hannay knows that he's got to keep this pressure on. It's not insurmountable behind him. Russ is now up at 9.3 watts per kilo. You can see them coming behind him here. This is a chase behind. Remember, Hannay, he's going to go over the bridge. He's going to come underneath the rail line. He's got the right-hand turn coming in from the gorgeous, fantastic World here on Zwift, playing host to some fantastic racing. Now, they've hesitated behind. Russ took the pressure off, and they're all looking at each other. If they look, they're going to lose, snooze and lose behind, because Hannay, he's going to be into the right-hand turn. He can see it coming, the green indicator, the start of the sprint, 190 metres, and he's going to be round this corner. He can see them coming behind, but they've left it too late. They can't do it. Hannay is going to take victory here. And it's going to be first loser for the riders behind, and it is going to be Coyle who's going to take that accolade. Coyle, Downing, Gilmore coming through. So it's Hannay in one, taking victory. A fantastic ride as he makes his way in now. Next group on the way into the line. Who's going to get this on the way through? Hill are pushing in, and underneath the gantry, he's got Coleman topping, Dowtree, Hutchinson and McLeod together. Behind him then it's going to be Richardson. But Hannay, a really big victory there as Richardson comes through just in front of Ryan Williams. Not Ryan Williams' day today. He's in front of Kenning. Kenning in that leading group for so long comes in towards the line, being chased there by Barber all the way in. And Tyler Hannay really giving it some beans, and no worries, mate. I didn't try and get you over the line, but we do love a good attacker here on the DONNYCHAINGANG. Once the go has gone, and that's why we always feature the riders who play the game. So great to see Russ Dalby coming through, Scott Easter, Simon Oxenham, looks like Ollie Dawson coming in and through and kicking into the finish. Bowley in and through, going to go back down to Collie, and our first woman to come through the line is likely to be one of these two. Is it going to be Becca or is it going to be Colclough? It is going to be Becca, the first rider in. So Becca comes through. Good to see that Russ knows where the right beacons are and the right banner. So it's Becca from Rhino taking first spot in the women's competition. She came in through in front of Colclough. Colclough putting a fine performance in and sprinted in to take second place on the way in and through as these riders come through thick and fast. We're going to try and drop back and follow as many groups into the line, and that means we're going to follow Matlock in, who's just come in and through the line. I think Kettering just on the sprint into the finish here. In with Kettering, the under 14-year-old rider here. Big kick from Kettering to come in front of Bundy and Neil from the Crosscast. Kieran Smith, previous winner, comes through in front of Steve James. Then it's going to be Johnson coming through, Goddard, Billy No Mates, Bish on his way through, leading a big group in here. We're going to try and drop back. I think Tristan from Harrogate comes through. Good to see Tristan back in action and on the chain gang ahead of Andy Akers, and coming through clear of a big chasing group behind. Now we're going to drop back a little bit once again, and just going to drop in with Waldron. So Waldron has Proven with him, so Richie Proven in with Waldron at the moment. These two riders are going to be coming in. Who's going to take this? It looks to me like it is going to be Proven. Proven takes it from Waldron from the race team behind. Brannigan is going to lead the next group in. So it's Brannigan followed by Pearson, Dowtree, Thornley, Rollins and West in the bigger group. Then it's going to be Luke Taylor sprinted in behind Zodiac. Thornley on his way in. We're going to try and drop back a little bit. We're going to come in with Lloyd. So Lloyd comes through the line. And Lloyd in with that big group as they come through. Lindley putting in a big kick here. And Lindley's going to roll a lot of riders on the way into the finish here on the DONNYCHAINGANG live on Downing Cycling YouTube channel. Oh, nearly got Julesy. Julesy almost caught napping there as these riders coming in through. It looks like Rashid through, Bennett through, Lidget's in, or Ledget as his mates call him. So next in, we're going to watch our next group of riders. We're going to have Dickinson here leading in Herring and Wade here. It's going to be close. This Craig Herring almost rolling him on the line. They'll have to go back to the replay behind them. Donnychainger coming through. Donnychainger leading home Sutcliffe. Then it's going to be Lee Allen Reedy on the way in there. We're just going to keep an eye out because Chris from the Alliance MTB group on his way through. So Chris Heseltine James comes through. First chain gang of the new year, and he's going to be feeling that tonight. And then it's going to be O'Rourke, Priest, Tom Hetson, I think Phoebe Snedden just in and through the line, so great riding by Phoebe there. And going to be a high position in the women overall coming through. And it's going to be Ellis just leading through Kipling, along with Irwin, as well as Wallace, Wharfdale, and Holmes on the way in here. So our next group coming in through the orange banner here in through the finish here. Coleman comes through, big kick from Coleman, and just going to drop back a little bit further. We're going to see Kiernan is going to be our next rider in. So Kiernan, the next rider in through the line here. All these riders pushing the way around. Some great riding. He's going to come in front of Stanningland and Gavin. I think it's going to be Stanningland who's going to lead the next group home. So Dave Stanningland of Chevrolet just holds on there from Tom Brennan. Then Gavin, then Peasgood, Peacock. I think Addy Parsons coming through just behind Ian Brooks in this big group behind here. And they're all going for it here. It looks like Holmes is going to lead them home here, but Brooks pushing on at the moment. Halsey pushes to try and take that, but it was Holmes, Brooks and Halls leading home a huge group of riders. You always know there's going to be a big group round out of the Halls as they come in towards the line. Now, next group here, this is Hills, Garford, Bishop. It's going to be Nichols in this group. They're going to be coming round the corner very shortly. Let's take a little bit of a look back. And nobody behind, so it is going to be a fight out between these 5 riders. Is anybody going to kick in for the line? There's some experienced chain gangers in here. They know to go for the fixed banner. And it looks to me like Gartha really is putting on the pressure here. Gartha is so tight there. Gartha almost just getting that from Hills and Bishop. Rob Wimble chasing on behind here. So Rob Wimble in the orange and black kit, the Dragon rider. At the moment, got Skubala for company. Is Scooby going to give it some beans on the sprint into the finish here? Is Skubala going to be able to open it up? They're coming quick behind him, but it is going to be Wimble, Skubala, Chapel, Forrester and Knight in that order as they come over the line. Mosley chasing hard behind. We're going to drop back a little bit to our next group here. Group of 3 riders here. So we've got Jackson, Freya in here as well, and I think it is going to be Jackson who's going to lead them in over the line. So it's going to be Jackson who's going to take it through. Then it's going to be Freya coming through behind. So Jackson comes through. Then Freya, who is our second rider in that group. Then Rutter being chased by Ambler, who makes it in and through the line ahead of the next rider. That is going to be a Rutland CC's rider on his way through. That is Curtis now. Has Curtis got anybody within sight? I think Curtis can stroll his way around, stroke those pedals home, because he's going to come home 5 seconds clear of Mick and Landmead, who are the next riders. Then it's going to be our rider from the Gorilla Mob. It is going to be Gorilla Firm Star Trek. How to make sure your name is recognisable. He's going to come through ahead of Otto Russell, Tim Corby coming in hard, chasing behind. Then it's going to be Evans, followed by Jarvis here. Now, who is going to take this? Is going to be Jarvis. Oh, look at this. Jarvis knows the score. That is what you call about jumping at the right time. Joe Jarvis putting in a great kick there to distance Evans Lee on the way through. I'm going to drop back now. I think our next rider into the line is likely to be Morris. So in with Morris now. So we follow all of our riders on the chain gang home. Remember, we focus from yellow to the red beacon until the go. And then once that happens, we're then in with all these riders. So Gary Morris is going to be our next rider coming in to the line. A little bit of a gap on the riders behind. And that means he's going to get plenty of time to come across the line. Remember, 190 metres on the Marina Sprint Reverse. And as you come in, that gantry opens up in front of you. And it's going to be Morris who's going to be our next rider in. Nice pedal revs here, sitting just under the 100 cadence marker, and it is going to be Morris who comes through now. Behind we have two riders together. We have Sir Rodney in here and Late for company. So Late and Rodney are our two riders who are together at the moment. So Lisa Jane Late and Sir Rodney, our duo, heading in for the line. Now they're round the last corner. They can see the gantry. Is Sir Rodney going to stay on the front? Will he be a gentleman? Oh no, messing about for Sir Rodney. A little bit of a kick there. He wants to keep that position. So it is Sir Rodney followed by Lisa Jane Late. Then it's going to be Norris, the next rider into the line. So Norris comes in behind. Then it's going to be Sean Ferron. Sean with a big kick. What a surprise. Sean giving it big beans as he comes in through the line. Sean, one of our fast riders, just ahead of a Beard on the bike. One of the best names, if not the best name, on the Donny Chain Gang. Good to see you back in action. I'm sure you enjoyed yourselves out in Gran Canaria. Now, Kieran Brown, the next man in, and not to be his day on the mountain bike, but a great workout. And remember, of course, if you get the steerers, you can work your way around those mountain bike courses as well, putting the steering input in, and always improvements on Zwift. So great to see Kieran Brown on the mountain bike, a man who is right up there on the out of the Zwift. And of course, certain courses quicker on the mountain bike, so make sure you do your homework, guys. So next up is going to be Nicholson. So this is our next rider heading in for the finish here on the Donny Chain Gang, live on the Downing Cycling YouTube channel. We've got to say a big thank you for all of the support from Zwift. Without this fantastic platform, we can't bring you all of the action, and supporters of the Chain Gang from the word go. I've got to say a massive thank you to them. The best platform online by far. There's nothing else that could touch it. Having experienced plenty, this is the one that we all choose to ride on for a reason. So we see our next rider in through the line. Heather Nixon comes through, finishing the chain gang. Just the warm down left to do as we're going to drop across to Bradley Atkinson. Bradley just coming around that final corner before the orange banner. It is orange Russ. Good job, Russ is on the ball. You can tell I'm doing 16 jobs at once. Can't think straight. Definitely not got enough coffee or fuel from OTE. Don't forget lots more giveaways. Grand Tour Coffee and of course OTE giveaways in 2020. Plenty more to come in terms of giveaways in 2021. Now next rider into the line is going to be Colin Bell. Beefy from Cycleways just heading home with the youngster Taylor. Immediately be behind, so Taylor just rolling onwards at the moment. Then it's going to be Hayward, and then Phil Jones is our next rider headed in for the line. So Phil here, Road Phil, looking good, keeping it smooth, 80 revs per minute. Now winding it up, and a little bit choppy on the old numbers there, but going to be pushing in towards the line. So it is going to be Phil Jones or Road Phil coming in, and great to have Phil with us in on the chain gang. I have to say, all the pictures of me courtesy of a brother webcam. Right, next up, Lone Rider, one of our regulars. Good to see him back in action in 2021, a regular in 2020, and looks like he's continuing where he left off, pushing on towards line. 5 watts per kilo as he goes in underneath the gantry, being chased here by Llewellyn. So Mike Llewellyn, our next rider, heading in towards the finish, pushing 4 watts per kilo on his way in, and looking good. He's going to be in ahead of O'Neill and Taylor here. So Llewellyn in through the finish, being chased by O'Neill, and O'Neill out of the saddle, putting in a big kick here. So Olivia Neal going in, so it is Olivia who's going to be our next rider in. Big kick here, lots of watts, 9.9 watts per kilo at peak there. So Olivia Neal putting in a great ride there, and a massive PB as well. 16 seconds PR on that section, 16.28. Congratulations, Olivia, great riding. Coming in ahead of Taylor, and it's going to be Taylor, the next rider in. It's going to be a Bolsover and District rider coming through ahead of Crichton. Crichton are going to be the next rider through the gantry, the finish here on the straight, following Taylor in. So Crichton comes through, and they're going to just tick his way around to the blue line. The blue line in as the warm down finish, and then it's up to you. Keep riding in front, or of course Time to head and watch the show again on the YouTube channel. Time to get on the Facebook page and contribute to the community and have a big checkout on there of all of the support you can get. Don't forget, of course, the donate button on the Facebook page, and the website is there. Russ and I trying to maintain the chain gang going with these increasing numbers, and you can play your part in that by helping us and donating on the donate button on the website and on the Facebook page. So next up, we're going to keep an eye on our riders coming through. I think Rumble is likely to be our next rider who's come in and through. So Rumble just coming through just out of that shot. So great stuff. Seen Rumble. That's David Rumble in ahead of the Cannonball. The Cannonball now on his way in. So Andy Smith making his way. This is the genuine Cannonball, the one that we always want to watch, and good to see him in action, and a big push in over 3 watts per kilo into the finish, just ahead of Evans. Evans chasing all the way into the line, and then behind it it's going to be Wilson. So Wilson in that camo kit, in that blue, black, grey and white kit, and looking pretty smooth on his way in. 76 revs per minute, 186 beats per minute, 350 watts there at peak. So big power coming from Wilson. And it's going to be Andy Wilson, our next rider through, ahead of David Hopkinson and Dickinson. So in with Hopkinson now, and Hopkinson a little way out from the finish, going to give us a little bit of time to say a big thank you to everybody who's been riding tonight. Please remember, guys, make sure your message board is on. If you've been riding earlier and didn't have it switched on, switch it on. You'll see the messages from everybody who's around you. It gives you the messages from the riders closest to you, as well as all of the messages from our Yellow Beacon Russ, the Bear, Fonzie Downing, who is the leader of the ride here on the Donny Chain Gang. So please, guys, make sure your message boards are on, and make sure, if you've been riding, that you get hold of all those messages, process them and act on them. It means that our chain gang holds together as long as possible before we hit the go. David Hopkinson, an experienced rider, he knows exactly what the score is, and good to see David coming through the finish there, and just now going to soft pedal his way around to the blue banner for the warm down. Next up is Dickinson. This is Paul Dickinson, another of Paul Dickinsons. It shows you how big we've become. We've got multiple Paul Dickinsons riding on the ride. So Paul now on his way in. And Paul, if I remember right, level 20, and now lines himself up. I'm sure he's been out on the Caspat's leg breaker course before. So now Dickinson's going to be our next rider in and across line, being chased to the line by the look of it by Martin Bolt. And here comes Bolt, a red beacon multiple times. In fact, he was our only red beacon until the Rota, and Martin doing a great job again. You can see Martin back on the bike, being chased down by Borelli and Gibbons by the look of it. In fact, it's going to be 3 riders here. It's 5, 6 riders. This is what we want to see. This is our next chain gang. Here we go. So we have Martin Bolt. We have Gibbons in here. So we've got Mark Gibbo Gibbons. We've got Alistair Cootie. We've got Victoria Chavaria, big bikes. Andrew Whitehead, Stefano Borelli, as we mentioned, and Jan Taylor as well. Now, big kick comes. It's coming from Cootie from Chefrec. And the Chefrec rider really is giving it big beans. He is opened a gap on the rest of the riders as they go in and through. I can just see Whitehead, Borelli, Gibbons, Victoria Chavaria, and then Taylor coming through as a group there. Great to see them in action. So Jan Taylor and Victoria Chavaria just coming through in that group together. Good to see the 2 women riders working well together with this group as they come in and through the finish. Now we're going to drop back to Conor McWigan. So Conor in the green of Bolsover, also one of the regular Zwift kits used by Downing Cycling coach riders, and Conor pedaling his way in. Good to see Conor on the Donny Chain Gang tonight. Ahead at the moment of Darren Topless, Mike Killingsworth, Rob Carling out there. It looks like Sam Emsley is still out on the course somewhere. Sam, one of our really fast riders, a little bit further behind everybody else. We're going to have a double check of that on the way through, because Sam normally right up with the leaders. May well be he's had to have a break, and he's going to continue into the finish. So Conor McGuigan on his way and being chased towards the line by Darren Topless. Mike Killingsworth has company. It is Rob Carling who's with him, and Sam Emsley. Sam, you're a long way back, mate. You've got a lot of work to do to get to the line, but at least when you come through the gantry, which is just in front, you're going to be heading into the finish. So let's drop about 4 minutes ahead and watch Conor coming in towards the line. So Conor McGuigan on his way in to finish the DONNYCHAINGANG here in France on Zwift, doing a great job here and keeping those revs nice and smooth. 84 revs per minute, 154 beats per minute, 172 watts as he goes in over the line by Conor McGuigan. A great ride here on the DONNYCHAINGANG. Now immediately behind, just coming into sight, it is going to be Darren Topless. Darren, of course, of Sherwood Pines, one of the key men down at Pines, one of the key organisers of the Sherwood Pines time trial as well. And Darren, a regular now on the chain gang, 190 metres as he crosses that green line on his way in towards that orange gantry. And it is going to be Darren Topless who's going to finish his ride next here, and going to no doubt be happy once he sees the end of the warm down. Remember, of course, we always have a warm down on the end of the ride, just to make sure all of our riders just stretch their legs out after coming in and through, and putting in some really great efforts here on the chain gang. Now back in with Rob Carling. Good to see Rob on the chain gang once again. Rob pushing on, 44 kilometers per hour at the moment, 168 watts, and got to sit on the wheels of Mike Killingsworth. Mike, a regular on the DONNYCHAINGANG, and great to see Mike taking up the reins as Red Beacon. Mike, of course, a regular on the motorbike. Don't forget to give him a Google on YouTube. Don't forget to give him a search. Make sure that you have a look at Mike in action on the sidecar and marvel at just how mad he is. So Mike Killingsworth being chased here by Rob Carling on Zwift, this fantastic platform, the home of the DONNYCHAINGANG, all the way through lockdown number 1, all the way through lockdown number 2, and now into lockdown number 3. So Carling making his way up here. Remember, if you have any questions, any queries, make sure you go onto the Facebook pages of the DONNYCHAINGANG. Loads of tech help, loads of assistance in there as well. We're going to jump in with Mike as he comes in towards the line. So Rob Carling giving him big beans behind. He's going to try and roll him on the line here. Mike could get rolled by Carling here. Oh, Mike's trying to respond here. Is it going to be Carling? It is. So what a way to pay the Red Beacon back. Rob Carling giving it big beans. Sexton UPR though, 15 seconds goes through from Mike Killingsworth. Killingsworth though, our Red Beacon. Fantastic work, Mike. Thank you very, very much for all of your efforts, and great to see you in action on the chain gang once again. Rob Carling getting over the line. Rob, warm down, mate. You need to keep those legs moving, otherwise you're going to get seized up. So Rob are literally stopping as he comes across the line. That's more like it. Give us a little bit of what's there. So Rob Carling and Mike Killingsworth coming through, which means there's one man out on the course. The living legend that is Sam Emsley. So Sam just descending in towards the marina. So I want to say a massive thank you to everybody at Zwift who's helped us out over the course of the year. Massive thank you to all of the people who've given prizes for our riders. People that you can see down at the bottom of the screen down there have helped out with prizes for our riders. People like Halo Wheels, who sponsored Halloween, of course. Grand Tour Coffee, OCE as well. Expect a revamp coming very, very shortly on those, and we have lots more people with giveaways. Remember last year we had people like the Bad Company Brewing Company based up in Tockwith. We had Muckoff supporting the ride. We've had Schwabi supporting the ride. Remember, of course, all these guys looking after you, the riders, Russ and myself here, giving up all our time and plenty of hairs. I'm sure I had a full head of hair before we started doing this, and the tech, as well as keeping control of the 300 plus riders, as it's turned out into this beast of a ride that is the Donny Chain Gang, has progressed. So a massive thank you everybody who's ridden so far. Massive thank you if you think you're riding, just for having a look on the YouTube channel. Make sure you give it a subscribe. Make sure you go onto the Facebook page, give the page a like. Make sure that you join that group, because on there is loads of support from the Swift community, loads and loads of support from the Donny Chain Gang community. We will be back on Thursday. In the meantime, keep your eyes on that Facebook page for more announcements of what's coming up. And remember, of course, guys, to get onto the donate buttons. Russ and I need your help. Without you, we can't run the Chain Gang. You've kept us rolling through the year, and we managed to get back some of the costs that it takes to put this on. And hopefully we can continue to do that with your support. So please, guys, make sure you go onto the donate button, and we will be continuing to bring you this fantastic Chain Gang that is the Donny Chain Gang live here on the Downing Cycling YouTube channel. So as Sam comes into the line, a man who's no stranger to the finish of the Donny Chain Gang, it just remains for me, Matt Payne, to say thank you very much for watching. We will see you on Thursday. From Russ, from Dean, and from myself, Matt Payne, thank you very much. Have a safe evening and a great ride if you're heading out between now and the end of the week.